To create color in a 3D model, for 3D printing specifically, we always want to UV unwrap it and create an image. Now, in another tutorial, which was UV unwrapping, I made two-dimensional data that makes it possible to put an image on my model. If you look on the left here, you can see it when I go into edit mode. All the points that are here in 3D are also here in 2 dimensions. Now, I can paint inside Blender, which is called texture painting. That's yet another tutorial I've been doing. This time I want to do it in an external program. So I want to export these coordinates that I have on screen to get them into something else. We can do that in the window here on the right. I can go into the menu that says UVs and I want to export my UV layout. I will do it in the folder where I am, and there are a bunch of settings. In this case, yes, I want all UVs, and I do not want a PNG image. A PNG image is fine if you want to do something in a photo editor. In this case, I would like a scalable vector graphics file, because I'm going to be doing this texture in Inkscape, and this is the only time really I think in this entire series of tutorials that I will be looking at other software besides Blender, but I'd like to show you my way of doing this sort of thing. So I'll export, I will call it my layout.svg, export, and I will see you in a minute in Inkscape. Here we are inside Inkscape, and I've opened my SVG file. I can zoom in, hopefully, with Control and my scroll wheel. I don't use Inkscape too much, but I hope I can show you one or two useful things. So this is our layout, and all of this, these are all vector graphics that we have here. And I'm not actually going to use them. I just have them here as a guide in the background. But Inkscape can do some very neat things, like the menu on the right here enables me to snap to a specific point. First, I want to make sure that I'm not going to edit any of this, because I want it to be exactly where it normally is. To do that, I want to put it on a protective layer. I'll access the layers menu, add a new one, and I'll call this my background. That's going to have these on it. So they're not on a layer right now. So I'll go in here, select everything with Ctrl A and cut all of this stuff. Select the background layer and paste it in place. So it hasn't been moved, it's just on the layer now. I can lock the layer, see, to make sure I can hide it and unhide it. Now, as long as this is locked, these are going to stay here and I don't have to look at them. They're fine, they can just help me. So let's make a really funky little thing. I will add a background color, so everything gets this color after adding a new layer. I forget this sort of thing. I don't use Inkscape too much, but I love it for especially this sort of texturing. I will add a texture, make it nice and orange. I do not need it. If you want to change color, you can just click on the color in the bottom bar. And if you want a color for an edge, you can shift click in the bottom bar. So I make a red edge going around it. I can shift click on the one all the way on the left to give it no color. And actually what I will do is I will put my foreground underneath my background, and I will make this less, the background, I'll make it less opaque so that I can see through it. So the guide goes in front. Maybe I shouldn't call it this, I'll call it the guide. And I'll call this my texture. Here we go. Texture. This is going to be my image texture. There we go. Very nice. Now, what if I want to give him a bit of a face? I will start by making a shape. Zoom in a bit. And we will go around nice and smooth. And you see, you can very easily make something go snap specifically to these nodes, and I'll show you in a minute when I can zoom in. So I made this shape, I'll make it white. Do I want an edge? Yeah, why not? Now if we go into this symbol, this is pretty much edit mode in Blender, but this is the mode in Inkscape. You can now zoom in, and I want this to be exactly at this point for our 3D model. Because I have snapping enabled, I think, no, it's not the right kind of snapping. It is this one, the cusp nodes, that I want. So that I can do this and it snaps to the cusp node. You see, when I'm close enough, it will snap to it. It's really nice. And I'll make sure these points are exactly at the nodes. This way you can control very precisely. Ooh, I just want that at the node. I don't want this. It's good enough for me. Put it at the node and make that a bit wider. So we've got this. I will copy that shape to give him a little shape on the belly as well. There we go. And because it's snapping to the cusp node, I can put it exactly in the middle. Let's give that a funky color. That's really nice. Maybe we should give him an eye or two. Ooh, that's a cool eye. There we go. And I'll make that black and we'll give him another one. Ooh, really small one. That's a creepy sort of texture. Let's call it done. So I'm finished with my texture. This is the new color for blue. Because he's called blue, let's make his belly a nice tint of blue. Here we go. This is all blue. That's quite nice. Now before I save, something to remember, I don't want to save it with all of these lines, because then the lines are going to go on top of my model. It can look nice sometimes, but what I will do is disable the guide. So I'll hide it like this. I have a nice shape in here, and I can file, export bitmap, and in this case I want the entire page to be exported, and I can set how many pixels. Let's make it 1024 by 1024. It's going to go into my external texturing folder. That's where it is. It was called layout.svg. It automatically makes it layout.png. So let's export it. Done. I can close this window, go back to Blender. So I'm back in Blender here, and when everything is selected, I can change the image texture. So I'll go image and replace this image, and it should have in the right folder, external texturing, the layout.png. Replace the image, and here we go. It is right on top of my little guy. This is really nice. It's one of my preferred ways of getting a texture on, because especially with the snapping to the nodes, you can get a beautiful texture from SVG. In my next tutorial, I will add a little light and a little darkness to this one using baking. I hope to see you there.